everybody, this is Mrs. Combs. Today we're going to do a video on the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is the largest factor that two or more numbers share. So basically, both the numbers can be divisible by this number, and it's the largest number. So let's do a couple examples so you understand what this means. First thing is there are two methods to solving this. I don't mind you use either method. In my opinion, the factor tree is a little bit easier just because when you get to big numbers, you don't have to list all the factors that are in between, and you're more likely to miss one. But again, you are allowed to use whatever strategy you think is the best. So let's take a look at both methods using the relationship to find the greatest common factor of 12 and 30. So the first method I'm going to use is by listing them. So I'm going to kind of use the rainbow method here. I know that 1 and 12 are factors of 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Now I'm going to look at 30. I know 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 is not divisible, 5 and 6. And now I have them all. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the largest factor that they both share. So they share 1, they share 2, they share 3, they share 6. So the largest factor, the greatest common factor that they both share is 6. Now I'm going to use a factor tree to show the same result. So I'm going to look at 12. I'm going to make a factor tree of 12, 6 and 2, 3, 2, and 2. Then I'm going to do 30, 3 and 10, 3, 5, and 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle all the factors that they have in common. So I know 2 and 2 is a partnership. 3 and 3 is a partnership. Okay? I'm going to multiply these together, these partners together. Greatest common factor is going to be 6. So in both problems, I got the greatest common factor is 6. On the left, I listed all the factors and found the biggest one they share. On the right, I did the product of primes and I found partners to multiply to find the greatest common factor. Let's do another example. So let's try 45 and 75. From here on out, I am going to use the factor tree method to show my answer. If you'd like me to show you the list method in class, I'd be more than happy to do that, but I'm going to use the factor tree method. So 45, I'm going to do 9 and 5, 3, 3, and 5. 75, I know it's going to be 25 and 3, 5, 5, and 3. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the partners. So I see there's a 5 here and a 5 here. I'm going to bring it down. A 3 here and a 3 here. And I'm going to bring it down. They don't share any more partners, so I'm going to multiply these together, and the greatest common factor is going to be 15. Let's try another example. 5 and 17. So here, 5 I know is a prime number. So the only numbers that I can multiply to get 5 are 1 and 5. 17 I also know is a prime number. So the only thing I can multiply to get 17 is 1 and 17. So the only numbers that are in common are 1. So the greatest common factor of these two numbers is going to be 1. When you have two prime numbers, the only factor that they share will ever be 1. Okay, now what happens if I have 3 numbers? So let me break down 8, 24, and 12 and see if we can find the greatest common factor. So I know 8 is 4 and 2. 24, I'm going to do 6 and 4. 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. And 12 is going to be 6 times 2, 3 times 2 times 2. So I need to find a factor that all 3 numbers share. So I see that all 3 numbers share 2. So I'm going to bring that down. I also see that all three numbers share another 2. So I'm also going to bring that down. Since there's a 2 on the left, a 2 in the middle, but no 2 on the right, I can't circle another partnership. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 2, and the greatest common factor is 4. One way I can check this is I know 8 can be divided by 4, I know 24 can be divided by 4, and I know 12 can be divided by 4. So same thing in these previous problems. I know both 5 and 17 can be divided by 1. I know 45 and 75 can be divided by 15. And I know 12 and 30 can both be divided by 6. So there are multiple factors. As you can see, 5 and 3 are both shared in this one, but it's not the biggest factor, okay, that can go into it. One reason we want to know greatest common factor is for simplifying fractions. That's going to be a big one this school year, so make sure that you know this greatest common factor, so it's going to be much more easy to simplify fractions. So what I would recommend is at this time, you should pause the video and try these 4 questions on your own. If you try them, you can kind of see where you went wrong. On the next slide, I will have them solved for you. So at this time, pause this video to try these problems. Alright, here are some of the answers to the 4 problems. I have 3 of them displayed. So the greatest common factor in number 1 is going to be 3. The greatest common factor in number 2 is going to be 18. And the greatest common factor in number 3 is going to be 24. And last one is a 3 problem 1, so or 3 number 1. So the only number that they all share is 5. Okay? So hopefully this helps you out in understanding what greatest common factor is. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in class or email me, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.